Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2019-20 Boys Basketball Virtual Award Ceremony. This was certainly a season to remember. If you can see behind me here, we won the Christmas tournament, the holiday tournament in Pelican Rapids, conference championship, subsection championship, and the section runner-up. So a lot of hardware we won. Many great moments and a lot of excitement and fun. If you just take a minute to think back some of the games as a fan when you were at and the cheering, just a great basketball team to watch and unselfish play, good attitudes, and a team that was truly a team. And it's really cool, that we can have all this hardware back here. But really, that's there's a lot more to it than that. So that's great. But there's a lot of other things too that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to start out just with a few thank yous. I want to thank, first of all, the parents. As a coach, I realize the commitment it takes for parents, and I've been a parent, and I really appreciate the fan support that we have and the cheering and the excitement and, dressing up, besides all the other things like getting your kids to and from places. And the thing I really appreciated was not just cheering for your kid, but we were supporting all the kids. And I always talk about that. The parents are part of our family. We're all one big family. We're all one big team. And I really appreciate the parents being supportive of everybody and every kid. And then also the meals that you provided, that's really big for the kids, and they really appreciate that. I'd like to say a special thank you to Heidi Bright and Kendra Stark for all the photos and the Facebook page. They kind of run our Facebook page. And I know a lot of the parents and grandparents, those photos, when you go down the road a few years, those are precious memories and moments that they captured. They did a really good job with that, as did Chris Bukins with his pictures and his great coverage again in the newspaper. And then I also want to thank my wife again, for all her sacrifice, understanding, and patience, being married to a coach. And again, my wife really appreciates all you guys, and she, thinks of all you as part of our extended family. So just some comments on the season, like I said, outstanding 27-3. And when you look at the three losses, two of them were to the state champions from last year, and one was to the number 6 rated team in AA in Osakis. And I think some of you maybe heard the coaching interviews I did on some of the radio stations talking about our season. But there was a lot of really good basketball teams around this year. And so out of our 30 games, 14 of those games were against teams with 18 or more wins. And 9 of those games are against teams with 20 or more wins, which was really incredible for that many teams around here to have that many wins. And so like Hancock, we played them 3 times. They had 20 wins. Parkers Prairie had 21 wins. Ashby had 19. I think Lacaparo, Pelican had both 19. Norman County East 19. And Brandon Evansville at 18. And, Brandon Evansville was the state AAU champions, back in 7th grade with this class. So beating, all those schools. And in the AA, a lot of teams in our subsection don't play AA schools. We schedule a tougher schedule. We play Morris, Osakis, Pelican, Warren, Long Prairie. And so looking at that schedule, when you start out the year, there's probably, 14 or so games that we call 50-50 games that team and our team are pretty equal and can go either way. If you win half, it's 7. If you win 8 or 9 or 10 of those, it's big. And in those 50-50 games, we won all 14. And so that's just a great testament to our kids and being ready. And as parents, you don't get to see the locker room, but this group of kids is phenomenal for getting ready. They are always doing little pregame routines to get themselves mentally and physically ready before games. They're going over their scouting reports in the locker room when I come in. They're very focused on, what our game plan is before the game. And as a coach, that's what you worry about is, especially when you start winning a lot, is if we're going to be complacent. And every game they came out and they were ready. And so that was really a cool thing. And, the Norman County East game is maybe the one game we didn't do things quite as well as we normally did and maybe weren't quite as ready. I don't know if it was the long bus ride on a Tuesday. But I basically told the guys after the game that, we're going to, if this was a loss, we would really have your attention if we would have lost that game. And we're going to, fix the roof when the sun is still shining. And we're going to address some of these issues. And that's the one thing, my point is that these guys, when you're winning like that, it's easy to coast. And they were willing to be pushed. My assistant coaches and I, we came to practice and we kept telling them, like, we're not going to be satisfied because we won however many games in a row, and we need to do this to get better, and our goal is to keep getting better every day. And that's really a good testament to these guys, these kids, is that they really were willing to push themselves and to be better every day. So just a couple other things I looked at in the computer. We did finish number 7 in the state in the last AP poll and the QRF ratings, and had the 5th best win-loss record in the state. I think we were 7th in defensive average, and there's about 160 teams in Class A, and we were number 6 in scoring margin, beating our opponents by over 20-some points per game. And numerous records. I published the record book on the school webpage a while ago, and we tied or beat just about every school record for a season. So that's another good accomplishment these guys did. And just a message again for the future that hard work does pay off. And you guys all know these guys came in, they shot 100 3-pointers each 3 days a week all summer, did numerous other drills, ball handling drills. We worked on our motion during the summer, the strength training, the athleticism these guys developed. All that stuff is important. It's not a surprise that the 2 most dedicated teams probably in our section are us and Henning. And, it kind of pays off. You can see that. And then also thank you to the parents again for kids being involved in AAU and all the years that they were young, taking them to tournaments, because these guys were a great passing team. And the way you develop good passing is from having good instincts, and you develop those good instincts from playing a lot of basketball. And the more games you play, it gets to be easy and you start seeing things in slow motion, and that develops your passing instincts. Some of the other memories is what was really cool with these guys, everybody gave us their best shot. Like, teams knew when they're playing us that we're the best team they're playing, and they were all ready to play. And so a lot of teams, they would, stay with us for the first few minutes. And like one memory was Ortonville, we were down 4-0, and we scored 31 consecutive points, and we're up 31-4. And I just remember, looking over at their fans. Their fans were in dead silence for 8 or 9 minutes. And their fans, most years you don't get to look at fans because the games are all close. But this year I had a chance to, just enjoy the moment and looking over. And you could tell their fans when they were watching us knew that, hey, that team we're playing right now is something special. We would just have defensive energy all over. If you remember that game, creating steals and stops and fast breaks and just pretty basketball and 3-pointer after 3-pointer. And their fans knew there's nothing they could do. It's pretty cool. I know in Wheaton, they were playing some good basketball at the time, and the game was tied 16-16. And the same thing over there, 23-0, running up 39-16. Just played some great basketball. The Parker's Prairie coach, I know he made some comments to Mr. Van Kampen after the game, like, who do you guard? Every kid came in and did that. He didn't even know about Brady. He has their center on Brady, and Brady comes in and he's hitting 3-pointers. He said, you guys have so many weapons. So that was kind of cool. And, obviously my favorite game of the year by far, was one of our rivals, and the team that beat these guys all the time when they were young was Brandon Evansville. And I looked at their schedule the other day on the computer, and I think they were 8-6. And I think they had won 10 games in a row, or 18-6. There was 2 big stories about them in the Echo Press, and they were the hot team, and they were ready to beat everybody in the section. And the last game of the year, we were both, I think, undefeated in the conference for the conference title. And I think they thought they were going to win the way they're playing. And it wasn't close. Our guys, I remember Brady and Ryder had just come out of the game, and they were next to me, and Jacob hit another 3-pointer, and then Grant got a steal, threw it out to Tate. He hit Jack coming down the lane on a fast break, and I looked over at their fans, and I told Brady and Ryder, I said, look at this. And it was the same thing. They just knew they were watching something special, and it was very special to watch and to win the conference championship that way. And so the first awards that we want to talk about is for our subsection and section games at Concordia. The kids all got medals, but the conference championship we haven't handed out yet. And so every kid has a conference championship medal. So this would be for all the varsity players. It says 1920 Pheasants Conference champs in the back. So all the managers and coaches and players will be getting one of those medals when I deliver the medals for being conference champions. Congratulations, guys, again on the conference championship. And just the last few words to describe these guys, I think closeness. It's fun seeing them behind the scenes in the team bond that they have. They're obviously unselfish attitude. You know, a lot of these guys could score 15 to 20 points a game on a losing team. And we had, you know, several guys average between 6 and 15, which was many games. You guys remember reading the Craig Olson and newspaper articles that, you know, we had 5 players in double figures or 7 players between 8 and 13 points, which is a really cool balance. And just, you know, like I said, a team attitude, and also the classroom. Again, they were a runner-up in the section for the academic award, second highest GPA. And just a lot of, you know, I could go on and on with comments from officials, fans, and coaches and opposing coaches around the area on some of the things they said about our team. And so it's been a fun journey. And again, I want to just share one comment that one of the parents wrote, and thank you, parents, for the cards, you know, the thank you cards you sent to the coaches. One of the parents wrote in the thank you card is that they said, we know it's about the journey, and I can see the positive character traits these guys have developed in this basketball program. And besides all this hardware behind me, you know, that's really the cool thing, is that we think, you know, I told you that at the parent meeting before the season, that I truly believe being on a sports high school team and being in our program, they've learned a lot about basketball, but they've also learned a lot more than basketball, and tools that I truly believe that are going to help them be successful in the real game of life. And so with that, I'm going to just start talking about awards here in a minute. The coaches, I want to thank Brad and Devin as well. And if you don't know Bradley and Devin, they are volunteer coaches, so they don't get paid, and they're always there, always helpful. And you guys that have coached youth basketball, knowing you're by yourself, it's hard. When you have 2-3 people, it's better. And when you go from 3 people to 5, instead of having 10 people in a basket, you're down to 5 or 6, which really is good for the kids and their individual breakdown and learning drills to have those guys. And obviously you can see Devin and Bradley, you know, care about the kids and develop a relationship with them. And then again, my two other assistant coaches, John and Brian, you know, I'm very blessed to have them. Very good coaches, very good teachers of fundamentals. And, you know, when you have good coaches, you can delegate more. And some of you guys know this, but John, the last few years, we've kind of given most of our zone defense for him to take over, and he runs those drills in practice. He researched videos and the breakdown drills, and that's been a big part where we've mixed up our man-to-man and our zone defense. And it's not just like regular team zone defense. Our zone defense is very good and creates steals and gives people a lot of trouble. And John, like I said, does a good job of that. And then Brian, this last year too, is I had him come in some in the summer every day at practice. He's responsible to come up with our motion offense drills. And if you notice this year, our screening, the quality of our screening and cutting was just phenomenal. I know when you guys watch like the highlight film and stuff and you see all these great plays as fans, looks like just great plays. But when I watch it, I'm like, that's, you know, we worked on that. We worked on those flare transition screens, and we worked on that one more pass for the open 3-pointer. And we worked on those back picks. We worked on those drive and kick opportunities. All that stuff that you see in the highlight film was drilled over and over and over. And a lot of that credit is to Brian. And to see it all come together is beautiful. And then the other thing about John and Brian is the way they're honest and they communicate. And I think our kids appreciate that. All 3 of us, we're not going to sugarcoat things with the kids. There's a quote I really love that says, it's not, you don't tell kids what they want to hear, tell them what they need to hear. And I think kids appreciate that. You know, when kids, we do it in a positive way and continue to get better. And I've heard those guys say that a couple times. Like, you know, John will say, I'm just going to be honest with them. And that's always the best thing. So very fortunate to have those guys. So at this time, John just wanted to pass on that, you know, he basically said that, you know, I talk enough so he doesn't need to talk more, but he did want to share again that he wants to thank all the players and parents as well, congratulate them. And the JV team, I believe, was 22-3, which is a phenomenal record. And by the way, all 3 of our teams together, I believe, were something like, I don't even know what it was, 60-something and 6 or 5. And so the other thing on the JV, I think there was like 10 or 11 guys that averaged between 4 and 9 points a game. And they did win the conference JV tournament as well. So thanks for John for sharing those things with us. And then I'm going to stop here if I can get Brian's video to work. And Brian will just give a few quick comments, and then I will be back.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day weekend. Just wanted to offer some quick thanks and words of encouragement. So first of all, thank you. Thanks to the players for what was a fantastic season, obviously. Thanks specifically to the C Squad players. What a great group to coach. I thought you guys made significant strides throughout the year, individually and as a team, in terms of the level you competed at, in terms of effort, your individual skills, team camaraderie, uh, adapting team concepts that we worked on diligently. So those things all showed up throughout the course of the season. And we say that C Squad records aren't super important, but 17-0 is pretty sweet, fellas. So congratulations on that achievement. Thank you to the seniors. What a great group to coach over the last 5 years. You guys set the bar high for future players behind you to try to achieve, and that's going to be felt around here for a long time. It's a bummer that your senior year had to end with such strange circumstances, but you look back at it probably as a minor bump in the road and what will be a lot of achievements individually in the years ahead for you guys. So thanks and best of luck to you guys. Thanks to the parents and the coaches for all your efforts this year in support of a great season. I wanted to offer a word of encouragement to returning players. A lot of uncertainty with regards to facilities and camps and things like that. I just wanted to offer an encouragement that you don't necessarily have to be in a gym with 30 people to get better significantly. A lot of people have improved their skills on gravel driveways, behind barns, and church parking lots. So be good stewards of your time. Use your time wisely. Be a little creative on your training, and you'll continue to improve regardless of how circumstances evolve here regarding official practices and development opportunities. So a lot of bright futures ahead for all of you individually that are returning. Looking forward to working with you in the years ahead, and hope everybody has a great summer. Stay positive, have some fun, smile, and enjoy each other. Take care.
All right, so we're going to start with the awards. The first thing we're going to do is talk about the letter winners. And we had 12 different players letter this year, so I have this little bag of letters here with bars and basketball. So some of the return letter winners are seniors. Jacob Bright, Gage Staples, and Jack Van Camp are all return letter winners, so they will all receive a bar. And for our junior class, Grant, Tate, and Brady are returning letter winners. They will receive a bar. Xander is a first-time letter winner, and so the first-time letter winners will get a shield with the basketball for the sport and the bar. And also Nathaniel Junker will get one of these, shield, basketball, and a bar for being a first-time letter winner. Sophomore Ryder Staples is a return letter winner, will get a bar. And then we have 3 freshmen that will again get all these things, which would be Cole Anderson, Jacob Strunk, and Isaac Kreft. And just, I'm going to talk about some of the other award winners later, but some of those guys that came up onto the varsity this year, Cole Anderson and Jacob Strunk, they have bright futures if they want to work at the game. And I thought they did a really good job filling out our roster and giving us minutes when we either had foul trouble or, guys sick. And then Nathaniel, he's just a tremendous asset to the team. And we never intended to have an award like this, but I came across these cool socks. I got socks like this as a gift, so I went and bought another pair. They're called Spirit Socks. And we're going to give Nathaniel these Spirit Socks for his team spirit. He had posted on Facebook earlier this year, like what his team meant to him and just his energy and attitude, when he scored baskets and stuff. It was just phenomenal for the fans. You all remember how the crowd went wild and everything. And so Nathaniel's going to win the Spirit Award for that. And then Isaac Kreft, too, he moved up to the varsity later in the year. And if you know Isaac, he does everything you tell him. He's a phenomenally hard worker. And it was really good to have him in practice, too, because he's a strong player and a physical player, and he really helped us in practice. And we told him to go beat on Gage and Brady and those guys inside to make them better, and he fulfilled that role really well as well. And then we have the Academic Spotlight on Scholarship Award. And so this is players in all of the C Squad, JV, and varsity that maintain a high honor roll type grade point average while participating in interscholastic activities. And so I'm not going to hold up all these, but they would look like this. So it shows your name and the sport, and talks about that, your GPA being 3.0 or higher during, and because we really think that's important. And so I'm just going to read those off. So the winners of those certificates, you all get one of those certificates, would be seniors Jacob Bright, Gage Staples, and Jack Van Kampen. The juniors would be Grant Bukins, Tate Christensen, Nathaniel Yunker, and Brady Reeve. Sophomores Tyler Biss and Ryder Staples. Freshmen Cole Anderson, Cole Bruss, Ty Foose, Peyton Hansen, Isaac Kraft, and Damon Sandsted. And 8th graders Cam Anderson, Dane Anderson, Mitch Dewey, Nazir Dots, Bryce Chesbo, and Ben Nyreen. So congratulations and good job in the classroom. And then the managers, I have in this little bag again, I have the manager pins. And our managers this year were Taylor Matson, Isaac Foose, and Aaron Biss. And those guys were awesome. You guys saw them. They don't probably get a lot of glory. There's always people hollering like, hey, Isaac, run, fill up my water bottle. Aaron, I tell Aaron, run to my room and get my iPad or a whistle. And they're always doing stuff. Taylor kept clock for us at practice even. And then during the games, they took turns filming. So again, all those highlights you watch wouldn't be possible without them. So a very big thank you to them. And I will have a manager pin award for those 3. So they are a big part of the team, and they will also receive one of the conference championship medals. And then our captains, just phenomenal leaders. We're going to talk about these guys a lot, and you've heard other people talk about them. And, just a great examples. There's been stories about them in some of the local, prep sports magazines and stuff. And it's so true what everybody says about them. And I've been references for a couple of those guys in job interviews. And I told them, what I'm saying sounds too good to be true. And they're like, the employers are like, we've heard this from like 3 people. And so, we're not just saying that. They're just truly great people, and they lead, by example, but they also led, like I said, in the locker room. And this year we stressed on having a lot of fun, and they made things fun. They have that good balance of working hard and keeping it fun. So these captain plaques, that's for Jacob Bright. And here we have one for Jack Van Kampen, and then Gage Staples. And so again, great job with those guys, being leaders for our team, which is very important when you want to have success. And then getting on to our team awards, we always have 3 statistical awards. It's kind of been a tradition of things we think are really key to winning basketball games. And one of those is free throws. And, free throws, as you know, are very important to winning games. And our kids work at a lot. And the start out the year, we struggled a little bit. Wasn't one of our better areas. And at the end of the year, we really shot the ball well. We shot well over 80% last year of the season as a team. And the guy that won our free throw award was our most consistent free throw shooter. I think he hit 37 out of 46 or something like that for a little over 80%. And, winning that holiday tournament in Pelican Rapids, he basically iced the game. It takes a lot of plays to win a game. We made some defensive plays and stuff, but you still got to make the free throws to finish it off. And those were really clutch free throws. And he was playing against some of his AU teammates in that game from Pelican. And then in the playoff games, Ashby and Hancock, I can't remember now how many he made, but when they were fouling, he made just about every one again. So our free throw percentage award winner, hit over 80% this year, goes to Tate Christensen. So congratulations, Tate. And then the second statistical award, my favorite players of all time have been unselfish players. I like players that are very good passers. I love watching good passing. I think it's very important, and I think it's contagious on teams when people start making good passes and being unselfish, and everybody does it. And if you follow the NBA, in the past when I was younger, I liked Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and players like that were all around that could score, good shooters, good rebounders, and good passers, the triple-double type guys. And there's a player right now in the NBA called Luka Doncic who plays for the Dallas Mavericks. And he had numerous triple-doubles. And as you know, the NBA is a 48-minute game. And so a lot of times when this player that won our assist award came to school, I called him Luka. I said, if our games weren't 30-some minutes and they were 48, you'd have triple-doubles a lot of these games because you had 11 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. And so if you remember the things he's really good at on the screen and roll, he's by far the best on our team with his bounce passes, penetrating, dishing, and then just looking up the open court. driving out, kicking the 3-point shooters, ended up averaging 4.1 assists per game. And so our assist leader was also Tate Christensen. And so very good balance all around player. So congratulations to Tate for that. And then our third statistical award is, all of you that know basketball know rebounding is probably one of the most important statistics. We stress it, and we stress it even more this year. And I've been here all 27 years of West Central Area's history, and there's only 4 players that have ever averaged double-figure rebounding. And he averaged 10.1 rebounds per game, and very fun to watch. He got up above the rim. We don't have a lot of guys that can do that. Got up above the rim. And then the offensive boards, we really stress that offensive rebounding is a momentum changer in games. And I had Coach Chesbo and Coach Nelson do some offensive rebounding drills this year just to emphasize it and get kids getting that instinct to go after the ball. And this guy did that as well. Got a lot of offensive putbacks and averaged 10.1. And our chairman of the board's winner is Jack Van Kampen. So congratulations, Jack. And then getting into the ones we vote on as a team, the first one is the most improved player, which we think that's a big deal to try improving. And it's always the hardest award because so many guys improve. And on our ballot for voting, it says it can be the player that improved the most from last year to this year, or it can be the guy that improved the most over the course of the season. And this guy, again, we have a lot of guys that got votes for this because it's, a lot of guys improve. But this guy would be, a star on a lot of teams around. And I basically told our guys we have 6 or 7 starters, and I said, you're basically our 6th starter. And he ended up averaging 6 points a game, 4 rebounds, shot 52% from the field and 71 from the line, an amazing 33 out of 68% from the 3-point line for 49%, which is phenomenal in high school. And, one of the other things he brought to our team is when we graduated Tegan Moritz, we knew we'd have to, one of our weaknesses would be defending post players because Tegan was very good at that. And if you look at most of our guys, we have a lot of guys that are 6'5", 145 pounds, and 6'3", 145 pounds. And so post defense was a big deal, playing guys like Helling and Logie coming in and pushing them out, and the rebounding and inside presence, on offense, post-up guy. And then also, like I said, his 3-point shooting was really valuable. And he could have averaged easily in double figures on losing teams, and people would probably have no clue who he is, but playing on a team that's 27-3 ranked in the state, everybody knows who he is by the end of the year. Like I said, he led us in scoring one of our playoff games, and every coach knew about him. And the cool thing is, this is the 2nd year in a row that he's won the Most Improved Player Award. And I mentioned last year, I've seen him for years walk past my house down to the courts in Elbow Lake, practicing shooting. And I go up to the Elbow Lake Fitness Center, and he's up there with 350 pounds on the bar doing sets of squats to develop his legs. And so he's worked hard at it, very deserving. And so our Most Improved Player Award goes to Brady Reeve. Congratulations, Brady. And then our next voted on award was the Mr. Clutch Award, someone who always plays big in big games and comes through under the clutch. This player shot 50% from the field. He averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, so pretty all around. We had a lot of good defensive players, but he was a very good defensive player as well. And he guarded some of the smaller players, and I went to one of his AAU games last spring in St. Cloud and visited with him after the game, and he told me, Coach, I want this role next year to take the other team's best guard. And the clutch stuff, if you think of our first Hancock game, we played awful. Trailed for most of the game. In the second half, he had 4 shots in a row, put us up by 10 points. Morris, big game in front of a huge crowd, had probably one of his best games here, just in a groove. Playing with swagger, at 21 points. Warroad, again, we struggled a little bit in the first half. He came through with 22 points, hit some big shots in the championship game against Pelican Rapids. Led us in scoring the second Hancock game down there with 17. Led us against the number 2 seed in our section, which was a huge game with 17 points again against Parkers Prairie. Norman County's hit some big shots down the clutch in a close game. And then in the playoffs, he had a season high in the first game with 23 points, and then 14 against Ashby, 18 against Hancock in the subsection finals. So very clutch. Always wants that big moment when he has it. And our Mr. Clutch Award goes to Grant Bukins. Congratulations, Grant. And then we have our most dedicated, hardest worker. And this player I've talked about quite a bit already, but he's at our senior night and stuff. But he's spent hours and hours in the gym playing in AU teams, spent hours shooting, and in practice, if you watch him, he goes hard all the time, and he always works to make himself better. Just some of his stats: 69 out of 139 three-pointers. That's one shot away from 50%, 49.6%, which just does wonders for our offense when you have a guy that they have to respect. It spaces things out for everybody else to get shots. 73% on free throws, average 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. And the most impressive stat, when I talked about his dedication over the years, ball handling, assist to turnover ratio. A lot of high school players probably have more turnovers than assists. And like the best guys in the NBA are 4-1, 5-1. He had 111 assists and 17 turnovers only, so took very good care of the ball. And from all those years of dedication, you can see that three-point shooting and ball handling paid off. And so our most dedicated player award goes to Jacob Bright. The next one is the best defensive player award. And, we haven't had a lot of guys that are this long and this athletic over the years. We had one in 2000 named Chad Davison. And when you're 6'3" to 6'5", and you're long and athletic, it gives the guys trouble, and there's a lot of options. You can guard post players like Logie, and you can guard good shooters and quick guys. And just one story, when we played KMS this year, they had a couple players out, and they came back at the end of the year, and they had a sophomore who's averaging 27 points a game, one of the top players in the state. And we watched film on him, and I told our coaches and players watching, we didn't know how we were going to stop him. And went and scouted him against Ortonville. Ortonville had just beaten Hancock a few weeks ago, was playing good. They beat him by almost 40 points, and this guy was shooting from the volleyball line. And I told the guy, I'm worried. This is one of the toughest first-round matchups. And Gabe said, he's not scoring on me. And Gabe said that a lot this year. And I kind of believe Gage, and I'm like, this guy is good. I don't know if you realize how good he is. But Gage was like that all the time. Every week we have a scouting report, and he'd walk into my room for our meeting, and he's like, who am I guarding? And he wanted the best player. And like I said, he was just phenomenal in shutting guys down and very versatile, with, like I said, being able to guard different players. You could put him on Matt Thielen, a little quick guy. You could put him on big guys like Logie and the guy like KMS. It's, just an unbelievable job on defense. And so our 2019-20 best defensive player goes to Gage Staples. So congratulations, Gage. And then lastly, we have our most valuable player. And this year there was a tie in the voting, which I think is very fitting. And so when I put on the ballot, the word valuable means who can we not play without? Who is so valuable that when they're not on the floor, our team is not as good? And statistically, you look at these guys. The first one was Gage, averaging 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, had 35 steals, 31 blocks. I just talked about his defense. Ability to dominate an offense. I talked to a lot of coaches that we played against, and that's the guy they were trying to stop in our offense is Gage. And then another amazing stat is he had one of the top field goal percentages in our school history at like 63%, which is very good, shooting 63% from the field. And also very versatile player, shot 35% on three-pointers. So one of our most valuable players goes to Gage Staples. So congratulations, Gage. Very valuable on both ends of the floor. And then our most all-around player, just reading his stats, averaging a double-double, which is impressive, 14 points and 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and also 51 steals and 56 block shots. And it's not just because he's long. He has great timing for it. And he also hit 57 threes, so he's a big weapon inside and out. We could put him in the block. And he's been one of the best three-point shooters in the area for, several years now. 40% on threes and 50% from the field. And even defensively, he got to be a really good defensive player. He was very effective guarding three-point shooters, really affected their shots, very long in our zone, and was one of the key cogs in our zone. And also a very good help defender, like I said, with his ability to block shots, coming over and helping people. And so a very, very well-rounded player. And that co-MVP goes to Jack Van Campen. So congratulations to Jack. just mentioning, we had 6 players win Radio Players of the Game t-shirts this year. Jack Gage, Jake, Brady, and Grant, and Tate, all, were different nights, Radio Players of the Game. And then they already got these plaques for all tournament team in Pelican Rapids this year was Jack Gage and Grant. And at the all-conference meeting, we're going to do the all-conference awards. And every year, the coaches, they really respect our program. They have a lot of good things to say about our program. And a lot of good things to say about our players, which not just about their ability, but the way they carry themselves and stuff too, which is really good. And so every year, we get pretty honored at that meeting. And this year, again, of course, being the conference champions, we got several awards. And so the first one was the most valuable player in the conference. I'm going to grab this plaque here, went to Jack Van Kampen. So he was the leading vote getter. And the way we do this is every coach gets a sheet of paper that's numbered 15 at the top down to 1. And you rank the best player in the conference. And that player gets 15 votes, and the next player gets 14, and so on. And the top 15 vote getters get all conference, and the next 6 get honorable mention. And so this is the plaque for Jack Van Kampen. He was the 2019-20 Pheasant Conference most valuable player with the most votes, with 181 votes. And some of you already know this, but the second leading vote getter with 180 points was Gage Staples. And so, just about close to being co-MVPs again, too. So the all-conference plaques here, again, there's Jack's regular all-conference plaque and the all-conference plaque for Gage Staples. So, again, pretty honored to have the top 2 vote getters 1 vote apart in the conference. And then also in the top 15, we are honored to have our point guard Grant Bukins getting all-conference, and also senior Jacob Bright got all-conference. And like I said, the coach said many good things to say about them, as well as they did for our honorable mention selection, which was Tate Christensen, who was selected honorable mention. So congratulations to all 5 of those guys. And then also I want to mention that academic all-state, some sports just give this to people who have a high GPA, whether you even ever get in a game or not. In basketball, you have to have very impressive statistics, be an all-conference player, and have over a 3.8 GPA. And so Jack Van Kampen was selected on the academic all-state team, which is quite an honor. I do not have that plaque here, but that will be coming for Jack. And so in conclusion, I want to again thank all the players and parents for such a fun year. And I will be trying to drive around to people's houses at some time to deliver these awards. And I want to just talk again to the parents and players about the future. There's changes every year. Where people sit now, it's not ever like that when it comes to the fall. Some players work at it harder. Some players grow. The younger players are all going to develop. They're not going to be little tiny junior high 9th graders anymore. They're going to be regular, young men like the rest of the guys. And, every year there's a couple guys during the season where they get frustrated with free throws. And I'm frustrated because I can't handle the ball like I used to, because they didn't do much in other teams that they played against in their elementary. Those kids are doing things and they're bigger, faster, stronger. And so if you're not going to do anything, can't be frustrated, can't complain, and can't expect good results. And so I've been meeting with the guys on Google Classroom page and Zoom meetings to get things going for the summer. Hopefully we'll be able to get together in the gym sometime soon. And the last thing I'll say about the off season too is sometimes parents think that the off-season guarantees you're going to get to play, and it doesn't, which is sad. It doesn't. So doing things in the off-season doesn't guarantee anything, but there is a guarantee that if you don't do anything in the summer, that's pretty much a guarantee it's going to be a struggle. And that's just a quote from a successful college coach, and it's really true. If you don't do things, you're going to get behind. People are continually getting stronger, quicker, faster athletically, and skill-wise. And like you see this team behind me back here, very, very dedicated guys. Okay, and see all of them there. And you can see last year really paid off. We want to see that again. And just talking to the 3 seniors too, their message to you guys is enjoy every moment. Work as hard as you can in the summer every day. You have the rest of your life to goof around and sleep in and play video games. And now is the time, because they all say that every year it goes so fast. So thank you again for everybody. And I hope everybody is well. And it was a great year, a lot of fun, and you are all a big part of it. So thank you.